Alright, hello! Welcome to day 4 of Taking Action. I'm excited to be here. I hope you are as well. Um, let's go ahead and dive right in. I slept in late today, which I think is going to be something we're going to build a habit around. 'Cause I really do not like waking up late. I don't know if this is just now that I'm older. When I sleep in, I'm just grouchy. So I feel like everything is just a little bit off. Um, Anyway, it is day 4. I have done none of these things yet, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and mark down that we're recording a video today because that's in progress. I still need to do 15 minutes on a stationary bike, which I believe I'll do after this records and once it's exporting or uploading or whatever. Drink a glass of water. Definitely need to get on get on that. The habit I'm going to add for today. So for those who are new to this video, we are either adding or evolving habits every day, and that is the goal. So for today, what I want to do, and again, to establish this as a habit and then slowly evolve these habits, is like drink a glass of water. That's probably not where we eventually want it to be. It's probably like maybe drink a glass and a half of water. But, today, I'm going to add a set alarm for 7 a.m. So this is really, I honestly, when I do get up early in the morning, I love it. I feel great. I do not like, I love my son. I do not like being woken up by my son. He's very loud in the morning. I love having a little bit of time to take my morning medicine, go to the bathroom, whatever the case may be, before he needs attention. That's just it's heaven. So if I can start getting up earlier and earlier, maybe eventually even have some time to exercise in the morning, would be just amazing. So that's not where we're going. We're getting way ahead of ourselves. All that this habit is I set an alarm. So this will be something I check off tonight before I go to sleep. Doesn't matter if I sleep through the alarm. Doesn't matter if I turn it off in the middle of the night. I have set it, and that is the habit. And then we can evolve that habit as time goes on. Actions. We have uploaded a video and kicked off this process. Laminated some new handle blanks for FrameSoft, which we've got to get back to at some point. I went and removed painter's tape from walls. See the previous video for story behind that. Today we're going to do something entirely different, and I think that's going to take up the rest of this video. And we're going to build a token generator, and I'll walk you through what that means so you can decide whether it's interesting to you. This may not be for everybody, so feel free to just drop off if it's not for you, and that's fine. But lately, over the past couple months, I have started playing Dungeons and Dragons again, which has been fun, with some family. And because obviously we're not co-located, and certainly couldn't because of coronavirus right now, we've been using virtual tabletops for some stuff. I'd prefer to do more theater of the mind type of stuff where you just describe what's going on. You don't necessarily have to worry about battle maps like this. But it's taken a while for me to kind of build up the habit of very good evocative description, and so actually having the battle map does seem to be helpful, and it feels like the players are enjoying that a bit more. So we're going with that. So this is Roll20, which is a pretty well-known virtual tabletop software. It is free. There are paid upgrades and whatnot to it, and you can move these tokens around and all of this wonderful stuff. But one of the things you'll notice, I actually have a token right here. This is not a token I've bought or purchased or anything. If you go into Roll20, you search for if you search for Goblin, there are premium masses that you can pay for. And you can it'll also just do a Google search, so we can say, I'm going to take this person, that's a dead goblin, I guess. Go ahead and plop that down. Now, that one actually has a fair bit of contrast, but this one, not so much. And that's a problem because when we have, the way that I've been running this is I like to see people's faces when we're playing, when we're role playing. I also, and so I have been recording one screen and sending that to my players so they can see the map within Hangouts or Zoom or whatever it is we happen to use. And so the video quality is not always perfect, which means that lack of contrast here is a really big problem. There are a couple ways to solve this. One is you can actually go through and create an aura around a character like this. And that's something, well, it's not amazing. then you have to do that for every time you want to drag in some random character, and that's not great. So what I would love to build is something that basically generates a border around these tokens so that they're very easy to see. Now the way I actually generated these player tokens is from a service called Hero Forge. Um, we go ahead and open that up. Now, Hero Forge is actually a 3D modeling browser-based tool, so you can create little figures, which is really, really cool. So you can go ahead and, if we randomize this here, there we go. That looks fun. And we can even go ahead and paint it, and then you could go through and purchase these if you wanted to. So we'll make this green. We'll give them a fun little. There we go. So there's our character, and we could go ahead and buy a plastic version of this. We can buy a color one, which is a little lower resolution or whatever, but we can also, I think you have to pay for a small subscription to do this. You can also generate tokens, and so you can go ahead and decide how you want your tokens to be and whatnot. And this is great. This is pretty much exactly what I want, and I went ahead and generated those I had all my players go through and create characters like that. And then we created tokens that way. So one thing that I've done, though, is I'd love to be able to do this for pretty much any arbitrary image, not necessarily something that was built in Hero Forge. So what I did is I basically dragged this off. I think I used a slightly different background, but I basically dragged the character out, saved this image out, and then I've gone into Photoshop and done some manipulation. So I took some sample images. So here's the base background image. Then I want to be able to stitch something onto it. So basically, what we would need to do is find an image and then create a circular mask around it. And to do that, I actually had to. We'll get into this in a sec. There's a tool called ImageMagick, which is actually a suite of command line tools for image manipulation with code. Which is easy enough to do. And basically I generated this image, and what it'll do is it'll use this as what's called the alpha mask. So it is deciding, all right, anything that is a white pixel, that is an image, that is part of the image that I will keep. Anything that's black pixel, that is part of the image that I will completely get rid of. So basically I'm using brightness to tell it whether or not to erase that part of the image. So I generated that. Let me go ahead and open up console here, and I can show you kind of what we've been working on. So I did a bit of work on this last night, but I've got a better solution at this point. So I wrote a prototype in Ruby such that I can go ahead, grab any image, drag it into a drop folder. In fact, I can show you how we can do that. Let's go ahead and open up. We'll just open up this directory. So I've got source images. I grabbed a dragon and a goblin with a white background because I wanted to test something that didn't have transparency, and another goblin that was named Max for whatever reason. And if I go ahead and run this script, it goes ahead and it spits things into the output folder. If we look at the output folder, now we have a dragon, which is cropped, which actually we kind of don't like there, but it does get scaled down to the appropriate size. Oh, why is that there? I don't know why that's there. There we go, Goblin with BNG, and then this one as well. And of course, now I could go ahead and take these and drag them into Roll20. It'll go ahead and take a second to upload that. I wonder if maybe there's some image compression we could do there. But there we go. Now we have this lovely character, and it's going to be very easy to see. You're not going to necessarily be able to make out the details of the character. You can always increase the size of the map to manage that. But hey, there's no contrast issues anymore, and that's basically exactly what I want. So I can go into Google and just find whatever images I want. It'll go ahead and standardize them, and that's what I want to do. But to do that, I needed to run this script, which is not what I want to do. So right now it's copying the folder. Actually, we can look here and see exactly what it's doing. So it's copying the source file to the output directory. Then it is going to resize the image down to the same size as the background. And this is outputting some debug text. And then it generates the token. So if we look at the commands that it uses to do that, it's using two ImageMagick binaries. One is called convert. So it's going to convert the file. It's going to resize it to 280 by 280 pixels using a transparent background, centering it, and making sure that it is 280 by 280, no matter what the original aspect ratio of the thing is. And then to generate the token, we're using a command called composite, which takes the foreground image, the background image, and then that mask that we generated in Photoshop to determine, all right, what of the foreground should we keep and what should we crop out. So those are the two commands that basically have to run, and this works. But we can do better because I'm running on a Mac, and we can do automation. So if I run Automator, and I'm going to open up Tokenizer, I have created this little script, and I've done pretty much nothing with Automator to date, but we're gonna do some stuff together. So what this does, it pauses for 4 seconds. This is a little more drag and drop programming type stuff. So I've set this to run on a folder, and when it detects a new file in that folder, it'll pause for 2 seconds. Then it will say for every file in the arguments, it will copy that file into the parent directory of that folder, and then it's going to display a notification saying, "Hey, you did the thing." And this is just for my own purposes to demonstrate that it worked. Let me show you how that works. So we'll take, actually, if we go back, we'll go ahead and take that. So let me go ahead and copy these source images because this will actually be nice test ones. So here's the tokens folder. If I go ahead and paste them. Yeah, I put another one in there. All right. If I paste these in here, eventually, yeah, you can see up in the corner that's running, and it says you added a file, so it waited 2 seconds, and then it just copied those files out of here and put them in the parent directory. So that's not particularly impressive, but this is a cool thing that you can do that comes with your Mac software. Basically, you can say, watch this folder, and whenever anything gets added to this folder, do something to it. And in this case, what I want to do now with you is tweak what we're actually doing to that file, so that it's a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this text. Oops, we'll go ahead and save that. Oh, actually, yeah, that tokens folder is right there. I didn't need to bookmark it. I'm going to go ahead and copy this text, and we'll go ahead and create the script. I don't know. So we need to do this not as a Ruby script, but as a Bash script. We could do it as a Ruby script too, I think. But I think Ruby's they're looking to eventually phase it out if they haven't phased it out in the next version of macOS. But whatever. We'll go ahead and call this tokenize.sh. All right. So Bash, and we'll just go ahead and not that. Paste in that way. Okay. So this is the script that I was just working off of to make sure that this automation folder action watcher thing worked the way I expected it to. Let me walk you through real quick what this does. So one is saying for every file, which we're assigning to a variable named f, in this, and I had to double check what this was. This is a list of all of the arguments that you pass into this function. So if I recall this, we would say something like tokenize. I gotta make sure it's executable. There we go. So tokenize, then we could give it multiple arguments, A, B, C, and D, and those would be, then it would run that loop. Oops, what am I doing? It will run everything inside this do to done block for each of those arguments for A, B, C, and D. And all that I had to do here is, all right, so copy that file to the directory of that file. So just go up one folder from where it is. That's not what we actually want to do. So let's go ahead and we'll just steal from our Ruby script and see if we can make this thing nice and simple. So the actual processing of the image is 2 steps. It is resizing the image and then just doing the compositing, which is nice and doable. Although, let's see. Well, okay, we'll get to that in a minute. So let's go ahead and make sure that we set ourselves some. Let's see. We're gonna have to set ourselves some variables. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say I don't want to call this f because I prefer a cleaner name. So we'll say source file. So for source file in there, now we can refer to source file. What we want to do is convert source file, and we're going to resize it 280 by 280 with background of transparent. and gravity center. So we center it within its new canvas, and extent 280, 280, which you need to do to make sure that it doesn't just collapse it to less than 280, 280. And we actually want to convert it from its original file type to a PNG as well, so that transparency exists. Otherwise, we'll end up with black where we expect transparent to be, because JPEGs don't have transparent. Something I discovered. Well, I mean, something I remembered last night when I screwed things up. Now, the thing, though, is that, well, a couple things. So one is we'll need to do that, because when we refer to variables in bash, we need to do that. Let's see. Now, we don't want to rewrite the thing in place. We want to create target file. So we'll need to somehow generate the target file name. Something. Target file equals something. That basically replaces that. And then once we've done that, we can say, yeah, we'll do this composite thing. So we'll composite then the target file. And then another challenge is we need to refer to the token and the mask, which I don't, which is a bit of a problem, because that's actually, we need to refer to exactly where those files are. So one option is we could hard code those in as variables, or we can just say, hey, it's in the parent directory, which I think is probably what we'll go ahead and do. I guess in the meantime, we'll just say token image and mask image, and we'll just make sure that we have to set those. And we'll actually, so the way this syntax works is we'll say let's see, the foreground, background, mask, I don't know how my voice there, and then output file. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying composite the target file as the foreground, throw it on top of this token image as a background, throw it on, use the mask image to figure out what to keep at the foreground, and then the output file, I'm saying throw this back in the original target file. So we've moved the thing, and then we'll go ahead and overwrite it where it's at, and that should work. All right, I don't know if that was particularly helpful, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so what are we missing? Token image, and the unfortunate thing about doing this in bash is that it's not super easy to just, there's not like a, it's not an easy way to go, oh, it's just, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we need to set target file, we need to set token image and mask image. Right, you can't just run this and debug it. It's not going to give you a bunch of error messages. You're just going to have to go see what it actually does, because it's not going to necessarily fail in intuitive ways. So you can't use my favorite strategy of error-driven development, where you just like write the high-level thing and then just say, all right, what breaks, and then just write. I'll let that guide you. Okay, so the source file is going to be, if we open up our file tree here, in tokens, it's going to be in raw. So here are a bunch of source files. That's great. And I do want to write the script so that we don't care where it's executing. So we will make sure that everything is relative to. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna create some fake things here. So raw directory is going to be dir name of f. Oops. There we go. So that's the directory name of, wait, not f anymore, that's source file. So if we say raw dir is the directory of the source file, that's going to be correct, because the argument that gets passed in is this file. Of course, I'm pointing, here you go, is this file. The directory name of that is raw. So that gets us that. And I don't know if we need that. We'll go ahead and keep it there. So we'll say token dir equals dir name of raw dir. It's a directory in which that exists, and that'll be correct as well. And then parent directory is going to equal dir name of token directory. And this is probably dumb. We could probably collapse some of these, but we'll just go ahead and keep them. Why not? So then we should actually be able to specify the target file. So the target file is a little tricky. This was a little easier to do in Ruby because what I want to do is actually, so what we want to do is strip off the file extension and replace it with a .png, which means we want to replace only the last dot whatever. Um, I know there's a way to do this with Bash. Let's see. So the challenge here is if we have a file, just because we're going to be pulling files from the internet, and I don't want to necessarily worry about what the file names are. If we have something that's like, orc.jpg, then that's fine. We can just say split it on the dot, and then just add in .png at the end. But if we have something like orc.jpg, which is a perfectly valid file name, then if we split it on the dots, we're going to have some problems. So what is the cleanest way? So with Bash, you could easily do this with sed. Let's jump to the Google machines. I think sed replace last instance, last occurrence of character. Matches as many. Oh, okay. Sed is very greedy, so it will match. So, okay. So that's not necessarily portable for all things. All right. Well, let's just bash script change file extension. This is not an uncommon problem, I'm sure. Oh, base name is a thing. Let's see. Rename all bot text. What is this? There we go. This is fun. We're learning together. Place all spaces with underscores. Let's see. What? But this was the example. This was the example you gave me. So there's some interesting pattern matching here. So that's interesting. It takes. So I don't know what this bash expansion is. Parameter expansion. But I guess it's basically stripping out. It is taking out a substring. That is okay. Let's test this. That's cool. I learned something today, or well, maybe. So we'll go ahead and say our foo equals file.text. Okay. So then if I echo, and it was what, like this? Yeah. So use this, and it'll strip out. Use that to strip out some stuff. So remove a substring from the end of the parent. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So if it's a file, and then %.star. Okay. Oops. Not file. Foo. Okay. So that removes .text. Now let's say that foo is, or the foo is file.rar.text. Now what happens here? Okay. That does it. So it trims the minimum it must. Okay, well that was way easier than I was afraid it was going to be. Okay, so our target file is going to be okay. It's actually a little more complex because we want to make sure that it's up a directory. Actually, we can. Oops, what am I doing? What is the well, okay, so let's paste that real quick just before we forget it. I want to get just the base name. Is base name a bash thing? It is a thing. Okay, so if I have an absolute file, or so if I say base name of tokens raw, and I don't know, this 5 blah blah blah. Okay, so that gives me just the file name. Perfect. That's all I wanted. Because we need to put in a new directory as well. Okay, so the directory is going to be tokendir / and then now's where we'll take the base name of the file, of the source file, And I wonder if we can do this. I think that's going to be an issue. We'll see. We'll see. I'm trying to chain multiple things. There we go. Yeah, it's okay. Let's. Here's what we can do for now. We're getting complicated here. So I'm gonna say we're gonna put this in the token directory, and then I want the base name and source file, but I also want to strip off the file extension and then add my own. Right? So I'm trying to do this, and that's fine, but then like that. Yep, and then .png. Okay, so then we'll go ahead and echo target file. Okay. So let's see what happens here. If I just run this file. All right. Well, I ran it with no arguments. So we'll say raw or token. Okay, fine. So if we run tokenize, now we need to, if we run it with no arguments, it's not going to do anything. If we run tokenize with token and raw and that. Okay, bad substitution. It does not like that. That doesn't. It's not hugely shocking. I'm sure that there is a proper way to escape things, but we can split this into multiple lines if we have to. I wonder actually. It's probably not going to like that either, but we can see. No, it doesn't like it. Okay. Let's just go ahead and say new file name. We can just use a bunch of temporary variables for now. Base equals base name. What am I doing? Base name of source file. There. Okay. So then what we can do is say in here base. Right. So that should work. I hope. We'll see. Yeah, so there we go. So then now that's instead of in tokens raw blah 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 .png, and actually we should double check this for a not .png image just to make sure that it changes the file name. Yeah, so gob.jpg, and it says cool. The new directory that I want to put this in is gob.png. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. I know there's got to be a way to throw this in here. I just want to. I mean, maybe not. Maybe that's just too many things. Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe not. We'll go ahead and just say we'll go ahead and leave it. We don't need to collapse this. We don't need everything to be fancy. Okay, so now we've got a target file. That's pretty good because that means we should be able to make a small target file, and this should work. So the first step should work. So actually, let's go ahead and test this, right? So in tokens, I'm just going to go ahead and delete these for now, move them to the trash. So now if we run this and we pass it the goblin.jpg, which is a large file, it should create a smaller file for us that is a PNG. So let's go ahead and do that. Tokenize gob, and if we look at the folder, I closed it. Inside tokens, there we go, gob.png, and it is a smaller image. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so that has resized it and made it square and whatnot too, which is not super visible from that example, but whatever. Then the target file is in, so these ones are actually fairly straightforward to write. So the token image is just going to be dir name, parent dir, slash, and then, so now at this point, yeah, we should be pretty much at this directory. I'm going to say token.png, and then this should be parent dir mask.png. Okay, so now this one should work as well, and this was just an example thing. So pretty much we should be done, fingers crossed. I'm a nervous saver. That's just what I do. All right, let's run this, and let's see what it generated for us. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay, and if we run this with tokens raw.everything, that should work too. Look at that. everything in here. So we get an orc, and we get a dragon, we get I don't know, whatever that is. Brilliant. So that's cool. We now have a single script that we can run that will convert every argument that we pass it. Do we ever use token-dir? We use token-dir. Do we use raw-dir? Only in the process of getting there. All right. Well, we could clean this up, but we're not going to. Because, hey, it's honestly, it's a little easier to read this way anyway. Okay. So yeah, that's nice and clean. Let me go ahead and grab all of this, and let's see, into this buffer, yank, there we go, and we'll go ahead and just paste all of that code into here. And now this should run whenever we drop things into the folder. So if I go ahead and save that, now hopefully, let's go ahead and remove these from raw entirely. We'll move them up a directory. Yeah. Go ahead and replace. I don't care. Replace. Okay. So we've got these. Go ahead and remove you. Put you in the. Come on. Move to trash. Thank you. Okay. So now, in theory, we should, if we watch up here, we should, by dragging something into this raw folder, it should trigger. It triggers the thing. It waits 2 seconds so that if we're downloading something from the web. However, that did not do a thing. That's disappointing. Why didn't that do a thing? At some point, this must have failed. So results. Run workflow. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and say show this action when the workflow runs. So maybe that'll help. Let's see. All right, so it is showing the action, but doesn't seem to actually be doing something with it. This is a bummer. Wonder why that would be. I have a suspicion, and I have a suspicion, and I suspect it's correct. If I just run, so this is running a shell script as bash. I suspect it's not going to load any. It's not going to load bash receipts, which means it's something like convert, which I think is installed via homebrew, might not be accessible. So what if we try just making those paths explicit? So user local bin convert. Maybe. So we can actually do this on both. User local bin. There we go. And I also don't need to specify that it's a bin bash script. So go ahead and paste this in and hope that works. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like there's an easy way to debug. So when you're doing a folder action, if you run this, it tells you, hey, you're not going to get actual stuff. We may end up using that if we need to, but yeah. Okay, yeah. So it says it's done because it got no input, which is fine. Okay, let's go ahead and save that, and then let's try again, I guess. Move these out, and let's drag one in and see what happens. 1, 2. There we go. Okay, so yeah, that was it. Either putting the bin bash shebang in there was a problem, or not having absolute paths to the conversion tools was a problem. But now this is pretty darn awesome, because these three will all get processed, and you do see it is popping up the source image and then converting in place, which is exactly what we had it doing. So now the cool thing, if we go through, let's go ahead and just search for Hobgoblin token. I can't spell. All right, images. Yeah, let's just do. Yeah, so this is a great token. Let's just decide, hey, we want to use that in our game. Well, that's fine. We'll just go ahead and drag from here into our raw folder, and meanwhile, we'll pop over to here, and oh, come on, did it not throw that in there? Yeah, it did. Oh, it didn't save. Okay, that wasn't the image. That wasn't an image file. That's actually probably broken some stuff. Well, we'll see. Okay. Let's see. Is this? Just give me a darn Hobgoblin token. Come on. Let's see. I think there was actually an easier. What did you do? All right. Well, yeah. This one will work fine. Let's go ahead. We'll just drag that into raw. I'm going to Why is it not? Is it not triggering? Oh, there it is. Okay, just took a second. Um, and then we've got a token version. We can go ahead and drag it into Roll20, and we have a token for us to play with. Didn't have to go through and manipulate. It just automatically manages that for us. So I'm excited about that. Especially on dual monitors, I can just go ahead, have something browsing, just drag it into this raw folder, and then generate the tokens automatically as I find cool stuff, and then drag it straight up into the tabletop. And that is fantastic. So I hope that was interesting. That's going to be our activity for the day. So let me go ahead and write down. Yeah, we did that. We built a token generator. Whew. I hope this was fun, and I will see you tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Have a good day. Cheers.